This is the Rear Naked Chicks podcast.
And we're back. Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Hi. The Rear Naked Chicks podcast featuring Maggie Holmes part 2.
Hey. We just could not get enough of her.
Also, our lives got completely taken over by sharing her story, so we thought you guys probably needed some follow-up.
By the time you guys hear this, it's about a week later, right?
It has been...
But for us, IRL, it's been... 4 days?
4 days.
Right.
4 days. Oh
but
my God, it's only been 4
the
days.
truth is... But when we recorded it, it was actually like a week and a half ago because these things come out a week early on the Patreon. So we're not doing that this week. We're only releasing it a day early on the Patreon, so you guys are going to hear it exactly a week after you first heard what was going on. The shit didn't hit the fan until it went public, though.
Right, yeah.
Right. So, like, Friday is really when it got crazy.
So, I mean, how are you, first of all?
I'm a mess. No, I'm good. I'm also a mess, but I'm good.
Understood.
It's just been a lot. I mean, I'm, like, overwhelmed with how supportive people have been. But I'm also shocked at how many, like, views and how much attention this is getting because, I don't know, I guess I just thought, like, oh, let me get the word out to, like, our circles so that girls will find out in our circles. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know, I have people, like, hitting me up from my undergrad being like, hey, I saw your video because, like, I trained with so-and-so and, like, and I'm like, oh, my God, what? Like,
whoa.
So, yeah, I guess I was not mentally prepared for that, but it's good. I think it's important, even if it's scary.
So, how many people who, like, knew Carl reached out to you?
Like, more than expected, like, a lot, you know? And it's just, like, people I haven't seen in, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years hitting me up, like, ex-students and just, like, people who know him and saying, like, you know, basically I believe you and I know you're right and I know you're telling the truth, or I always thought that was the case, you know, I always thought so. And that's, like, you know, that's a real crazy thing to me, is just people saying, I didn't know this was going on, but I can totally see it because he did XYZ.
Right.
Or I know this happened to you because he also did XYZ. And that's been crazy because there's things that I didn't even know happened that I'm finding out now.
Yeah. The stories of, like, I didn't have any idea about domestic, like, partner abuse, but I've seen him be a rage-filled, whatever, control stuff. Like, we got on our page, like, a bunch of messages. And then, like, the pattern of him doing what he did to you and Ray with, like, banning from other academies, that was a crazy pattern that we saw. Like, a bunch of people saying that either he was directly responsible for them not being able to train anywhere in the area, or that, like, other people had experienced similar things. So this is a thing in jiu-jitsu. Like, you speak up, you get banned.
Right. And it's, like, it's tough because there are definitely reasons to reach out to other schools and be like, hey, this person did this thing and you should watch out for them, right? And, like, that's the responsible thing to do. Like, oh, this person was creepy, or, oh, this person, you know, hurt people on purpose, or whatever the reason may be. You reach out to your local academies and say, you know, just a warning, watch out.
Right.
And that's a normal thing to do. But then when you have it, oh, I'm mad he left, or, you know, fuck this guy for no reason.
Right.
Then it just becomes...
Yeah, I've read messages that you found from Carl trying to get an ex-student instructor banned from an academy where he was trying to train.
And that came from a place of rage, because it's like he texted me, like, I don't remember exactly verbatim, but basically he's pissed, he's angry, he's saying, like, you know, he'd like to beat him up or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And then he follows up with this long draft letter to the other school owner that basically just says he stopped teaching and he doesn't want to train with me anymore and it hurt my feelings, is ultimately what it boiled down to. And it was like, really?
Like, how is that going to affect anyone's decision to let somebody train?
And luckily it didn't in this case.
But, like, in other cases...
But in other cases it did.
Well, maybe that was... I mean, this is obviously total speculation, but maybe the fact that he wasn't successful in that case is what led him to say that Henzo was who banned you when it came to Middletown.
Yeah. Well, the thing is in that case, the student who he tried to ban, he already knew the other schools and the other people. He had cross-trained. So I think that helped him, because they were like, no, we like this guy. What do you mean?
Right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe that might have been, you know, the reason he just decided, oh, well, they can't say no to Henzo. And I found out recently, or this morning actually, one of my friends who used to train at Henso Gracie Middletown texted me, and he's like, by the way, I was present when the owner of Henso Gracie Middletown got that phone call. And I was like, you were? And he's like, yeah, I was sitting right there. He got the call. He was like, I didn't know who he was on the phone with, but he got off the phone and he said, that my fiance, Ray, was kicked out. And he's like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Henso said.
But he doesn't know if Henso said or if Carl said Henso said.
Right. Nobody knows who was on the other side of the phone.
Well, but we know it wasn't Henso because Cora confirmed with me that there was never a band. Did I not tell you guys
I didn't
this?
hear about that part. Okay, we have to skip back to who Cora is.
Okay.
We got to roll all this back. So
rewind.
So in the comments to our little snippet of this, teaser of this podcast, a man comments that Carl is the reason he can't train jiu-jitsu and has not been able to for 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, this is somebody that I had met when I was training there.
Okay. So a person named Cora Gracie responds to his comment and says, please let me know more about this. I run the affiliation or association, whatever she said. And I responded back to her, hey, like, we have other people in our DMs. Like, would you like me to send them your way? And she direct messaged me and said, yeah, please send them to me. So this is Henso Gracie's daughter who co-runs the affiliate program with
her sister.
Okay, so she reached out to you?
So I reached out to her and I said, I saw your comment. I saw that you wanted people to reach out. I briefly mentioned it in the video, but I don't know if you watched the podcast and wanted to know specifically about me and my fiance being banned. And she was like, oh, I know a little bit about it from what you've said, what happened. So I basically just told her the details that, that Carl had told several schools that we were banned and that Henso banned us. And, I had told her that I didn't believe that there was ever a ban, and that it seemed very sketch. And that he probably just said that to get them to say yes. And she said, just to be clear, like, there was never a ban by Henso. Like, he made that up. And which is just, like, so crazy to me that talk about respect for your instructor. You're going to go behind their back and try to use their influence for your personal gain. Right?
Well, luckily they're looking into it. Like, I really hope that they strip him of whatever association he has with Henso Gracie, because, like, he literally used it against his abuse victim. Like, what the fuck?
But then my friend who was present for that conversation reached out to her, just to confirm, like, hey, by the way, I trained at the school, I was there a long time, and, like, I was present for this conversation, and the owner said, Henso said, just to confirm that I'm not, that happened. So
it's crazy how much time we've spent since Friday circling the wagons, trying to make sure that people who said what they said will confirm that they said what they said, because it's crazy when you step up and tell the truth about somebody that people are afraid of, how quickly everyone scurries like a light turned on, like, and the cockroaches go back to the corners. I give so much credit to the people who, like, publicly reshared or, like, reached out to Cora and shared their story. Like, we could not do this without the people who were sharing it. And the reason people can't come forward is because everyone's so fucking scared all the time.
The amount of respect I have for, like, other gyms, like, owners of gyms, even places we've done competitions and stuff.
Yeah, 10th Planet Long Island, Gorilla BJJ.
Balance and Flow, like, they've reposted our story and stuff, basically saying, like, I'm not afraid of this, man. Like, I'm standing with you, even though it's a stupid, like, Instagram post, but it's publicly saying, like, I am not standing for this. I'm gonna help boost these ladies. And it, like,
not to mention Trinity Pun, who literally trained there and is like a teenage phenom. Like that feels so good for, like, the female jiu-jitsu community. We had a number of, like, high profile female jiu-jitsu people share. Like, dude, thank you so much to all you people.
I don't know where I would be right now if I didn't get that support, because I was like, oh my god, like,
I'll tell you where. We got girls DMing us, and it's fucking sad and scary. Like, other girls in your shoes. Like, I'll read, I've had people tell me, like, they don't want their name shared, but, like, oh my god, I have so many it is wild how many screenshots are on my phone right now.
That's what else is, like, scary about all of this. Like, not only has it been people coming out specifically against Carl and, like, sharing their stories, but just, like, the amount of women and men that have come forward about, like, stories about their own gym.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not this is not like an isolated incident. This is not one man, one gym. This is a situation, or at least variations of this situation that is happening all over the place. Like, why is this allowed in our community?
Yeah.
Like, and why do people not... We also have the same amount of comments of people being like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing that happens. Like, no, you just live with blinders on. Like,
no one's
how do you not see it?
I mean, we've had exactly one person come forward and defend Carl. And that specific person, in the midst of all this, we got messages completely unrelated talking about how that guy who currently attends Carl's academy is harassing a girl. Right. Currently sending her hundreds of texts after she broke things off with him.
Yeah. Right. Out of
everyone, the one guy who also has an accusation lodged against him, please.
Yeah. We have one guy who used a fake account, didn't even attack you or anything, literally attacked the three of us. I know. Trying to discredit us. And then, I'm sorry, because of the way you speak, we figured out who you were.
Yeah, like, I'm sure it's the same person who also... whatever, we're not going to get into it. But, okay, so... The first story that we have is of a girl who dated a black belt who verbally abused and threatened to kill her over the course of 2 years. When she finally had to switch gyms, she had to travel an hour to train, and he's still very prominent in the community and leads the women's class and dates other women who train there now. Let's see. Oh, and she also found out from his public arrest record that trying to get to the exact specifics, or I'll just paraphrase, he beat up the pregnant girlfriend after her. Oh, so, bad guy. We have multiple stories in this vein, though. There's another girl who came forward as a whistleblower, and the black belt that she was accusing, who had apparently assaulted a lot of people in her gym, was kicked out. But then she was ostracized for whistleblowing, and the same thing, the blacklisting. And I keep hearing more and more, blacklisted people, if they went against a professor, even if it wasn't in any way about their ability to train jiu-jitsu safely, were barred from training anywhere near them. Like, this is such a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I mean, and people will just kind of believe what's easiest to believe, you know? So it really does take not just a pattern, but like a strong pattern for people to believe that these men are predators. When Carl's ex-wife got a restraining order on him, you know, for assaulting her, you know, everyone knew, and he was just like, oh, it's a tool for divorce. You know, she just wants the upper hand in the divorce. And people bought it, you know?
Can you just get a restraining order just because you want one, though? Like, there's a legal process.
Right. And he just, that was his, you know, narrative, and his students and his friends, and everyone was just like, oh, okay, fine, that's what it is.
We've definitely heard a lot of people saying, like, I kind of suspected, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I thought he was just a weird guy. I didn't like the way he treated me, but I didn't know about the women thing. Like, everybody has their own variation on a theme of, like, I knew he wasn't good, but I didn't know he was that bad.
Right, yeah. That's generally seen, or some people we've had actually
not training in your own gym space. That's weird when you can't find the head instructor at their gym.
That was for a period of years, but he did teach when you were there, right?
Yeah.
And I think he does now, maybe. I don't know what goes on there now.
That was one of the really good points is the main reason for doing this was not necessarily let's shit on his name, let's close down his gym, let's do this, get him arrested, whatever. Our goal was just to keep women from being in that gym, like keep women safe, let them know what they're doing, like interacting with. And we've had a couple women be like, I can't do that. I can't go there anymore. I can't give him my money anymore. I'll figure out somewhere else to train.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, what people have been brought down by these accusations? Like, what gyms didn't exist anymore? Fight sports is bigger than ever.
Yeah.
Like, accusing a man of doing terrible things never ruins his, reputation. It only ruins the woman, usually. Like, I'm honestly shocked at how positive it's been. Yeah, I was expecting more trolls.
I was expecting more trolls. Mm-hmm. I'm happy we've gotten the good response, but I was definitely expecting more of a bad response.
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised, but I also, the reason we've gotten such a positive response is just because everyone already knew. That was
it was an open secret.
It was an open secret. The amount of people who said oh, well, he had a reputation as, being creepy already. But I just didn't know that he, abused women. Somebody...
What's the difference?
I mean, I guess, like, harmless creeping without a crime is fine. Someone literally told me, like, oh, yeah, like, everyone at Henzo Manhattan in New York City calls him Creepy Carl behind his back.
Oh!
And I was like...
That's actually...
We had one
definitely,
of those.
Yeah, we had a Creepy Peter, but...
like, one, kind of funny.
It is a good
but
one.
But also... You guys, like
why are you just letting him exist in the world?
But I guess that's the thing, is they were just like, oh, well, he's just, like, obviously creepy towards women, he only wants to train with them, or whatever it was that they said that justified it, but it wasn't, like, violence or,
right.
you know, something.
At that level, it's, like, innocent until proven guilty. Like, if you just get a bad vibe from a guy and he's creepy, you're like, okay, like, there's nothing really you can do about it.
Right.
Like, I really didn't know how gym owners handled this situation so dramatically differently until I had people, like, messaging me about your situation. And, like, the number of people who are like, first of all, you're not allowed to date students at the school, period. If you date a student, you're kicked out. There are no instructors dating students, and even students aren't here to meet other people. You don't get to use this as a dating platform. And, like, while that might seem harsh to some people, it's so much better than if they creep on you, we leave them here and you keep training together.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Ugh, I'm sorry. I'm having a day.
We're having a week.
I haven't put my phone down since Friday.
I know.
Yeah, as much as, like, as overwhelming, it's been people, like, I'm so not well-versed in the jiu-jitsu at large, and then let alone, like, our little community. Like, I've only ever trained at our gym. Like, yes, I've interacted, like, some people have cross-trained at our gym, some people have taught at our gym, but, like, I don't know who a lot of these people are, so... like, we've only been able to see a few people reach out in like, the Rear Naked Chicks teams, but a lot of people have come to Jordan personally because she's been around longer. She's, like, a lot, I feel like, and just, well,
you
just
know everybody.
You know everybody.
That's just my personality.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to people.
Yeah.
So, I was impressed with, like, our, like, the own stuff going on, and then Jordan is like, look at my DMs. I'm like, oh my god, like, this is so much crazier than I expected.
I want to read this thing real quick that this Off the Zone repost. Do you guys see this? The like trying to avoid drama creates drama post. I just thought it was so fucking dead on for exactly what we're trying to say. Like, I feel like guys sometimes just don't hear it. They're like, whatever, you're just being dramatic. Like, we just gotta, like, keep it moving and don't get too involved and, like, you know, just try to keep training and focus on training. Like, that is not how this works.
Yeah.
This is what they said. They said, Rear Naked Chicks posted a podcast with Maggie, a beautiful and brave young woman that dared to stand up and share her story. And so doing, she is creating safety for other women. Thank you, Maggie. Maggie's actions are trying to end what others term, quote, drama. The thing is, avoiding drama creates drama. When you as a coach, gym owner, affiliation coach, i.e. someone with power and influence, seek to avoid uncomfortable situations, conversations, and actions, you're facilitating precisely the type of drama you seek to avoid. Putting your head in the sand, as ostriches do in cartoons, has never solved anything. Just because you can't see the problem doesn't mean the problem ceases to exist. That's like saying, when I can't see the problem, it can't see me either. Wait, what? After reading several comments under Rear Naked Chicks podcast posts, many reported having experienced similar things in terms of being excluded from other gyms in the area. Power imbalances are given. We see and experience them everywhere, and they need not necessarily be harmful. However, the moment power imbalance goes unchecked, unchallenged, and unconstrained, that is where the danger lurks and will manifest.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. She also, that same person, helped coach me through a situation where I had heard of some potential domestic violence, cry for help, and how to handle that situation. So, if somebody comes to you and it seems like they're giving you a story that sounds like it's like, wow, are you telling me, like, is this really happening in your relationship? And it's like raising your eyebrow and you're like, are you okay? Mm-hmm. She was saying to not judge that person, but to also make it clear that, like, what you're hearing sounds really unhealthy so that they hear it back, that they don't think they're crazy. And Maggie actually said, like, when I mentioned this to her, she was like, it sounds like that's the first crack.
Yeah. Because, like, that's what I would do early on. It's like, you know, Carl would do something and I would, you know, say to a friend or a family member, I'd be like, oh, you know, this thing happened. And just, like, gauge the reaction, because I'm like, you know, in my mind, I'm like, am I the crazy one or was that abusive, you know? And I think that getting the reinforcement of, like, no, that's not normal, that's not okay, that's abuse, is, like, the first step into getting the strength to leave. So, yeah, she's spot on with how you should handle that for sure.
I don't know, we might have to have somebody on at some point to, like, tell us what to do, because it's just, like, seeing the underbelly of jiu-jitsu and all these different people coming and saying they were banned from this place because they stuck up for this girl who did this one thing and this guy said another thing. It's like, you see the ugly stuff that you never saw before, and it breaks your heart, because we fucking love this sport. Like, we're trying to turn people to it. Like, we literally are encouraging people to train, and then hearing so many people say that they were sexually harassed or they were assaulted or they spoke up for somebody who was, and then this was taken away from them. It's like how do we fucking fix it? And
I mean, I think, like, you know, like that post said, like, you can't avoid it, because then it just keeps happening and it becomes more sinister. And I think what happened to you is, like, a perfect example. Like, Carl was stalking you, and he was showing up to train with you, and he was following you into the locker room, and you got, like, side whispers and the kind of, like, hey Jordan, by the way, like, he's dangerous,
right?
Like, that should not have been, like, a private, like, hey, you know, oh, I happen to know that you're not, you know, safe,
right?
Or he's obsessed with you. Like, that should be,
I mean,
out in the open.
my verifiable information was, like, that I experienced firsthand, was that I did notice that he was asking me when I trained. I did, like, specifically notice that he was like, oh, what days do you train? I did notice that he showed up to the vast majority of the kids' classes that I taught, and often would come on the mats. And obviously, I noticed that he followed me into the fucking locker room. And I noticed that he showed up at Northern Valley on mornings that he wasn't teaching often, which I didn't know was weird, but I noticed that happened. Every other bit of information came from other people telling me what they had seen him doing in regards to me.
I mean, basically, anything that happened in our relationship was not really ever public until I went on this podcast.
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of people, like, obviously my friends and family knew, but the jiu-jitsu community didn't know. And I think a lot of them suspected it because of the, you know, just the huge age difference and, like, the bizarre behavior after we broke up. But I didn't publicly ever say about anything about the abuse. But after we broke up, you know, I was pretty public about the stalking and about, you know, the threatening behavior that happened afterwards. So they were definitely aware of that when they came to you, because it was a stalking thing.
Because I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
So to me, this is just a nice jiu-jitsu instructor who is really helpful and always there and maybe has a crush on him. So anyway, when I didn't want him to know that I knew what was going on behind the scenes, because and I later find out this is because Maggie told people to make sure that I didn't let him know that I knew. Like, this was all coming from Maggie behind the scenes, like, because slowly like, back away from Carl.
People knew that she was going through this, so I had people come to me and be like, well, how does she handle it? And I was like, well, step one, he can't know that she knows what he's doing, because then it turns dangerous. You know, right now he's just like, hi Jordan. But, like, if he knows that you were like, oh, you're creepy and now I have to get away from you, that's when it starts.
Yeah, that's when they start trying to convince you. You
know all the details to feel that way.
No, I mean, when he... Well, like he kind of tried to, like, finesse going out to lunch with me when I trained down there occasionally, and, like, I was, like, not into it, and so I just kind of dodged it. And then when he followed me into the locker room, that was, like, legitimately creepy. Like, because at the time I was waiting to go out to lunch with another person who was, like, still showering. I think there were a couple guys in the men's locker room, but I was in the main training room alone because I was the only girl, and all the guys were in the men's locker room. So, like, I'm going to the locker room and Carl follows me into the locker room alone with nobody around and starts asking me, he's like, oh, I just got this new bench. Like, what do you think about it? Like, I don't know what this is about, but get out of my fucking space. This is so creepy. Like, that's what I wanted to do, but, like, you don't do that. Right. You're like, I'm a girl and you're a black belt and this is scary.
Well, that's the thing, is, like, that is testing boundaries. He's, like, assessing you. Yeah. Like, what is she going to do? How afraid is she? How far can I get? You know, which is terrifying.
Do you know how fucking scared I was to shower after that? Like, you would not teach kids class for a guy who did that. You wouldn't be associated with that fucking man.
I don't know, like, you're letting these people around children.
I don't know what the mental gymnastics had to be done.
It's the same thing they always do. Probably some fucking jealous bitch saying something. Yeah. You know, it's the same bullshit. The one only person who spoke out.
You guys are clout chasing bitches.
Clout chasing. This is putting yourself out on a limb. This is risking shit. This is not clout chasing. Get the fuck out of here with that.
Right, you don't gain followers by talking about sexual abuse.
No. You literally get a bunch of, well, you know what? Fuck off all the followers who did. Like, I don't want you. If you left over this, I'm glad you left.
You know why I feel differently? I feel like there's an opportunity to gain a following.
Well, there is, but
right following. Right, but more people rally against you, I think, in general, when you speak up as a woman, then will support you until it's like proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, and at that point they'll kind of come around a little bit.
Right, like we're gonna need to have like 3 men come forward that verify all the claims before somebody starts to believe it.
Yeah. Well, like that's the funny thing about this whole thing. I mean, I haven't had a lot of people say like you're lying, but at the same time, I'm like, I made a video telling my story, but I got the receipts if you want to see them. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
oh my god,
if it came to it, yes, I do have all the evidence. So,
how many more things have you found on your phone from their past relationship? Like, all kinds of new evidence.
I feel like I'm so sorry that you are now like
reliving.
Having to like you said you were like going back like 3 years of messages. Like,
well, it's like talking about it in general is fine.
Yeah.
Going into like more detail, sometimes I get like a little emotional. But like talking about it in general, it's like I've told this story throughout the years, so it's not that crazy. Right. But when I started going through text messages, I was like, oh my god. I just wanted to like melt into the floor. Like I was just like, this is like fucking awful. But I was like, you know what? Like people want the receipts. I got the receipts. Mm-hmm. And like I only went through, so far I've gotten just the year prior to us breaking up. And I see some shit and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot he fucking said that. Like and I just, it's crazy. I mean, I found, I just found so much. I don't even know where to start. Like,
you said that he made you delete a lot too. Like, if he texted you something that was particularly like damning, you were like, he was like, you have to delete this off your phone.
Yeah, I mean, if he went like, crazy and he said anything that was like a direct threat, or like, a racial slur, like he really, so like I haven't, like most people, I haven't only dated white people, and whenever he'd get mad at me, he would remind me that I haven't only dated white people, and he'd use racial slurs, and like, also call me like a whore and like whatever. So and then he would like, afterwards he'd be like, he'd delete it, and the thing is like,
he took your phone and deleted it off your phone.
Oh yeah, I mean he had access to my phone 100%. Like he had my code, like which my husband does now, but like I don't care because he doesn't fucking.
I like how you just called him your husband already.
I know, I might as well be like my fiance, but he would go through and he'd delete them, and the thing is like he had gone through a divorce, so he had this extra like everything was evidence that would be used in court, especially because in his divorce he had the order of protection. So everything was about like proving he wasn't an abuser. So anytime he said anything that he thought like, oh, she could call the police, it was deleted. And I don't even think I talked about that. I don't know if I've ever even told you guys this, but there was a time he called the police on me and said that I abused him.
What?
Yeah.
Some Amber Heard shit?
Oh, it was wild. Like I don't.
And they came and they were like, "Where is she?"
Yeah.
That little thing?
Oh no, because I was already gone hiding at my parents' house by the time the police got there. Because it was like, it was some kind of argument. I don't remember the details of like why we were fighting, but I was trying to hide from him, and I slammed the door, and the door caught on his finger, like trying to keep him out.
Oh my god.
So he called the cops.
He called the cops because he had some kind of finger injury and said that I abused him. And
women always go right for the fingers.
Right. I'm like, I slammed the door because I'm trying to keep you out. Like, what do you mean? I'm trying to keep you out. So, and at that point, because he left to like go get whatever he needed to get done, a glue job or whatever, I went to my parents' house. So I got a call from the cop. Not, I didn't actually speak to them face to face. And the cop obviously was kind of just like, I don't know even what's going on here, and I was like, at the time, sadly mistaken into believing like, oh no, I'm moving out, I'm moving back in with my parents. I was not allowed to move out and move back in with my parents. Ugh. But yeah, I mean, he would do manipulative shit like that, like try to paint me as the abuser. And I found out so many of these stories since this podcast came out because people who knew him would tell me like, oh yeah, he also told me this.
Yeah.
Like the people that I had befriended on social media while I was at the academy, I'll reach out and they're like, oh yeah, he said you were trying to start drama at the academy and to let him know if I messaged them. He sat my mother down. He told her that I was molested as a child, and that's why I'm exhibiting symptoms of depression and trauma. That man made up a story that I was molested because he knew his abuse was showing.
What the fuck?
And I had no idea until after I broke up with him. My mother, you know, we're going on a walk one day, and she's like, I have a question to ask you. I'm like, what's up? She's like, were you molested? And I was like, no. Why? And she told me.
You and your mom are pretty close. I feel like she knows everything.
Well, he said, don't tell her. She'll be so mad if she knows that I shared this because she's really traumatized. And I said to my mom, because she said to me, she was like, I wondered if he used that as a cover-up. And I'm like, obviously. Like, you guys were concerned because I was showing signs of, like, depression and trauma. And he thought, oh, I know how I can fix this. Make them believe it's not my fault. It's someone else's fault.
Wow. Mastermind. What a fucking genius he is.
I just got so nauseous.
So crazy.
Well, it's definitely been, like, really, really nice to see the people who did come forward and the people who were willing to, like, speak up. And I really hope that they do so a little bit more forcefully, I guess. Like, I think that there's more work to be done here. I'm definitely afraid that it's going to, like, die out. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form worried about being, like, sued or whatever. Like, honestly, the idea that this guy would bankrupt himself and ruin his own business just to try and prove that the truth isn't true. That's great. You know what? Don't have an academy anymore. Works for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, honestly, it would draw more attention to it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a plus. And also, again...
But, like, that's the reason people aren't coming forward, because they're like, I'm afraid of a lawsuit. I'm like, but it's the truth. It's not slander or defamation if it's literally what happened.
Right.
And like, there's so much... I mean, I have so much evidence. Like, there's undeniable evidence. Yeah.
How many people are just left out to dangle? Or, even worse, ostracized from every fucking gym around them. Like...
I mean, that's why I feel so fortunate with the response we've gotten. It's just, I had no idea that even the people who have, you know, stepped up and corroborated my story and just have been supportive and shared it, like, I had no idea that there was going to be this support, so.
Can't control, like, where people choose to train. Only just let them know.
We can only do what we can to share the information, you know. That's, like...
More than one person has expressed the exact same sentiment to me, which is that men don't really care when women get abused because it doesn't affect them. They can just keep their heads down and keep training, and their lives don't have to change. So they would rather avoid the quote-unquote drama.
I explained it to somebody at our gym. I was like, the reason why we have, like, women especially, like, have the reaction like we do, and, like, us being so close to it, like, you could have been easily in the same place as Maggie. And it's because, like, your reaction is how we would think you'd react if it was us. Because you can tell a man, like, imagine if this was your daughter, imagine if this was your wife, imagine if this was your sister. They're like, okay. But, like, they can't emotionally put themselves in that place. It's not until it actually happens that then they're like, hopefully, when if it were to actually happen, then they'd be like, oh shit, this is serious.
They, like, don't believe it's a thing, too. They're like, that's never happened to me or anyone I know.
Until it actually affects
I found
their
out
lives.
today that it very well could have been me experiencing.
Oh my god,
like,
how many messages we've gotten about the same instructor at the same academy who apparently has now been removed from that academy.
Right. But who was in her DMs and she was like, should I go out with this guy?
Should I go to the club where he invited me and my sister before she even fucking started training there?
Right. But luckily, Gabby is
also,
the most
this
intuitive lady I've ever known. Where she's been like...
Tell me why he's one of the only people anyone has mentioned as a friend of Carl's. And both have been accused of being predators. That can't be a fucking coincidence.
I mean, it definitely isn't a coincidence.
Wait, I was like... when this, like, two different girls had, like, a thing about this guy. And I had to be like, wait. Are you talking about X? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, Gabby trained there. She's like, yeah, I know her. She's one of the people who told me he was hitting on her.
It's crazy.
I truly think you're guilty by association. Like, you associate yourself with men like that.
If you know. I as much as, like, I want to always be like, you know, if you're in that gym space, whatever, like, that's trash. Like, you shouldn't be giving this man your money. But a lot of people don't know. The amount of people that, you know, do train there that were like, wow, I knew he was, like I said before, like, if he's creepy and you know he's creepy, like, whatever. Yeah. But it's not until, like, somebody comes out and says something that then you're like, wow. If you have all the information and then you still choose to stay.
Yeah.
That's when it's questionable.
You're not a leader.
What's crazy is, like, how much pressure we have to put on sort of our leaders to take initiative with this stuff because they're so hesitant because of whatever legal repercussions or any sort of like social ostracizing. And it's like, no, if all the people who are good people, which I believe to be the vast majority of people, just do the right thing when the opportunity is presented to them, this won't be a fucking problem anymore. Yeah, it's because you have helped that bad guy once in a while get away with it, not intentionally, not directly, but by association, by fucking looking the other way or doing him a favor or whatever the fuck. Like, you're literally participating in the abuse of a woman. And I know that it hurts to hear it like that because you believe yourself to be a good man, and you probably are in most respects. But, like, this is an area to work on. There are men out here who are, like, screaming from the rooftops how important it is to protect women and how important it is to weed these people out. And they will call every fucking, you know, gym in the area and make sure that the predator stays away rather than the fucking guy who outed the predator or the girl that outed the predator.
I also feel like it's something to say, like, it's okay to admit that you were wrong and learn from it. How many times, like, especially, like, it's now 2022, has something come up where, like, it's not okay to say this word anymore. And it became slang, and it became something part of your vocabulary, and then you learn from it, like, wow, okay, this is really degrading to people and diminishing, like, you shouldn't say it. Yeah. You learn from that. If that's something, if you are somebody that unknowingly, like, you're enabling this behavior because you just didn't feel comfortable to say something, you're like, whatever, it's not my problem. Now we're here to tell you, like, you know what, make it your...
And we've
like,
had that experience.
You can learn from that.
Yeah. Make the fucking change. It's not that hard. You fuck up, you recognize you fucked up, you do better. That's it. Some fuck ups are too big, though. Some people need to not be trusted, and I feel like Carl falls on that line, and that's why we did what we did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's just too many people that have been affected by him, and we keep finding out more.
And there's more and more and more.
Every day.
Oh, can I read this story? Because I thought it was juicy.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a brown belt who trained at our gym who said he was a cop. The owner of the gym knew him as an acquaintance outside the gym. Never did anything creepy to any of the girls in class. Then COVID hit. Our gyms were closed. I kept getting message after message from him being nice and also acknowledging the fact that I had a boyfriend. Basically making it seem like small talk. I'm a grown woman. He's a brown belt at our gym, also a cop, so I was nice back. Well, it started to get to a point where I would get dozens of messages at a time, and if I wouldn't answer in an hour or so, he would message again and again. But it was never anything out of line, per se. Just regardless, it raised my alarm enough to say something to the other girls I train with. Turns out he's been doing the same thing to a couple other ladies. One lady we train with is a cop and looked him up. Turns out he has a major rap sheet. He was fired as a police officer for raping one of his cadets. He used to use police technology to stalk young girls. He was also charged with beating his wife on multiple accounts. As soon as I found this out, I approached my coach, and he was handled within hours. So,
as it should be.
As it should be
handled. Yeah.
Handle it.
Also, my coach then called every gym in the area we know to warn him about this man.
And that's somebody that should be blacklisted from the gyms in the area.
Right. Here's an example of how to blacklist.
Not a crazy ex-girlfriend.
Right.
Not he hurt my feelings because he doesn't want to train here anymore. Not he was insubordinate to me.
If you're going to say... Henzo Gracie himself has banned so-and-so from this gym. There should be a database that, like, the owners can go onto and be like, these people by name are blacklisted.
And they have to say why.
It's official. Yeah. Right, it's official in there. It goes through, you know, if Cora's the one that runs everything, like, it goes through them. It goes through, like, whatever checklist.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the people that got banned by Carl, it might not necessarily have been as extreme as, you know, us when it was Henzo banned you. But I think it was, you know, call all the schools in the area and say, don't let this guy train. And they're like, okay.
If the reason is anything other than they were creepy or they were violent, what is a good enough reason to basically change the course of somebody's entire life because of some weird, like, high school vendetta? It's so fucking childish. Like, we're friends, so I'm going to block your friend from my friend group because this is my thing. Like, what?
Weird, clicky shit.
Really weird.
Not to mention, like, it's a business, so, like, why are you trying to actively take away other schools' business because of your personal vendetta?
Yeah.
If you guys were really tight and watching out for each other, you wouldn't want to take away their business.
Also, if you were really that tight, you probably would have known about this person to begin with. If they had to call you up and inform you of this person's existence, are you guys really friends, or did you just train together once 10 years ago and now you, like, hook each other up? Knock that shit off. When I read the stories about people who were, like, tried to get banned, like a gym owner who somebody reached out and tried to ban a potential member and they were like, fuck you, no. I love you.
Yeah.
I think you're fucking amazing. Like, if I earn a jiu-jitsu black belt and I am, like, a strong, independent person who has an entire gym of people who trust and follow me, I'm going to let some random fucking creepy guy tell me how to run my business and what members to let in or not? No. I'm sorry, no.
This has been a whole world just, like, opening up. Like, everything we do with Rear Naked Chicks has been, like, a new experience, and it's always surprising, but this has definitely been, like, the most surprising in terms of the love and support that we've gotten and the amount of insane people sharing their own stories.
I never realized how connected the community is.
Oh my god, like, yeah. I mean, when we go to, like, competitions and stuff, you see, like, the same people in certain places, but this is on a different level of, like...
Well, like, and you're gonna see it more and more, so, like, I'm a couple years behind you, but because I was there at the start of a new academy, I had a different level of interaction with people. I was let in more than a typical, like, white belt would be, because there are only fucking 10 of us or whatever.
You guys were all white belts.
But in 10 years, imagine all the shit we will have seen and how many people we will know. Like, all these guys have been around for, you know, decades. They have these ties that are, like, tangled and complicated, and honestly, I don't think serving you most of the time.
Right. And that's exactly how we get into these situations where no one wants to call them out.
But you end up being the bad guy. Like, I will reserve judgment as long as possible from the people that I've grown to respect because I see their character in other ways. Right. But there comes a point in time when you are simply fostering the environment that keeps this possible, and, like, I'm sorry, but, like,
be a leader.
Yeah. We, like, trust our lives to these people, literally. It's like, when it comes to this kind of shit with women, it's literally life and death sometimes. It comes to that. We've had multiple people say that, like, the person they were stalked or abused by in the jiu-jitsu realm threatened their life. Your life was threatened. Like,
we have that new girl. Remember?
Yeah, a girl. The day that the podcast came out, so it was last Friday it became conversation. A girl tried her first class at our gym. She was actually, like, for a first class for a female, like, she was really impressive. Like, she wasn't afraid to put her hands on me, like, get in, whatever. And it was funny because she asked me what a submission was, and she's like, what's the point here? Like, would you, like, punch me in the face now? And I was like, I mean, in a real life scenario, sure, but, like, no, I'm gonna either try and choke you out or break your limb, whatever. And she's like, oh, okay. I just really want to learn because I have a stalker. And I was like, oh, honey, why are you here today? Like, this is too perfect. So I gave her, like, the gist, like, rundown basics.
Too soon.
I was like, this is what's been going on today, but, like, that's amazing that you're here. And she was like, yeah, right now he's just in the stage of, like, obsessiveness, and he's just, like, sending me flowers all the time, but, like, I'd rather be prepared. Like, I have she's like, I have a piece of paper. Right. But, like, what is that going to do?
She got an order of protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he'll walk right through it, like Maggie said.
Yeah. So, like, I was like, this was just full circle. It was amazing.
I hope she sticks with it.
I've seen her there every day since.
Oh, really? But she was lucky enough to come into a gym where there are, first of all, girls looking out for her, and second of all, like, a man who doesn't create a culture where abuse is, you know, prevalent.
Right.
But she could have walked into Carl's gym. Imagine.
Imagine. Right. Where you got a stalker owner and apparently a stalker teacher.
She's in the general area. She could have walked into that gym trying to seek help for this situation and walk right into another one.
Yeah. I was saying this to my fiance. It's like, you know, in terms of, like, degrees or whatever, you just have to get, like, 2 degrees away from Carl, and everyone's supportive. But the people that were the closest to him are the people most afraid. So the people who, you know, he still, even after they've cut ties, he still has their, you know, his grips on them.
I think a lot of it is that, like, people, like, it's their livelihood, you know, like, I mean, I would say, like, they're afraid or scared or timid about it because, like, the people that are, like, that close, it's their jobs, it's their businesses, it's their, like, their way of taking care of their families and stuff. Right. I'm just, like you said, you can, yeah, exactly. I'll play devil's advocate. Like, it's that's the reason why they don't want to create an upset for their own lives for the sake of a woman.
Women hear you loud and clear. Right. Your silence is fucking deafening.
Right. Yeah. Which is that's what somebody at our gym totally, I mean, they didn't really say anything about it, but, like, they were just talking to me about the situation. I was like, your actions speak so loud to us. Like, whatever you do. And it was somebody that shared it, and I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Out of all of the guys at our gym, the amount of people that have spoke up about either in the DMs or directly to us.
It means so much.
Yeah.
A handful, but it means so much.
Yeah.
Probably less than one, like 5 people
probably
have come to us directly and been like, that's amazing. Let alone, I also don't know how many of them follow our stuff and like follow Rear Naked Chicks, but
I sent it to the group chat.
You did.
They all saw it.
Right.
Yeah, you made sure. Yeah.
Look, and maybe you're taking your time. Like, I do leave space in my head for other possibilities, but we hear the nothing the loudest right now. That's what we're hearing. And maybe something else will happen. Maybe you need time to see how things pan out. Maybe
you don't care.
Maybe you don't care. I think some people actively dislike that we said this. I definitely have opinions about those people.
Listen, I'm just celebrating because he didn't kill me this weekend. So
he's not even in the States.
Chicks bodyguards!
Maggie got her video camera doorbell and her...
so did I!
You got one?
Yeah, I got a Ring camera immediately when this podcast was going to come out because I was like, I don't know what the reaction is going to be. Is he going to show up and bust through my door and try to kill me? Like, it's a possibility. Like, from his actions in the past, like, nothing was off the table for me. And I have a big, mean dog, and I'm like, hugging him all night, like, you got me.
I feel like I can attest to that because we were on a FaceTime with you today while you were walking your dog because you just wanted to run something quick.
Oh, yeah.
And a dog came running up to yours and you're like, not friendly. I could just hear him barking. I'm like, oh my god. Maggie's just yelling.
The dog is not leashed and runs at you.
God, it's the worst.
Terrifying.
Especially because my dog will kill a person or a dog, right? Like, he's not... Like, if a man comes near me, oh no. No, he's not having it. So, yeah, it's so annoying.
Not friendly!
That was so funny.
I was like, she's done this before.
That's why I was like, oh my god, I'm so grateful for my fiance and my dog and my Ring camera this weekend because this is my whole security blanket just around me. Because I had no idea what to expect.
I literally sent Ian over to your house because you weren't home.
Yeah.
At like 11 or something right before you got home so that he could walk her house and make sure nobody had come in and then walk her dog with her. So, like...
Yeah, because my fiance wasn't home, and I was like, he knows where I live, obviously, and this has just come out, and what am I gonna... I'm not gonna
She's
walk
home alone
out
that night. Can you fucking imagine?
Oh, no. God. So, yeah, but my brother...
We send the cop brother over.
I love that so much.
So he shows up to my house. You know, he's gonna like clear it for me, make sure Carl isn't like hiding.
Did he bring his gun?
No. What? I said, "Did you bring your gun?" And he said, "No." And I said, "So what are you gonna do if he is hiding in my house? What are you gonna do if he already came in and shot my dog or something? Like, what you gonna do?" He's like, "I don't know. I'd figure it out when the time came." I'm like, "That's a cop answer. That is a police answer." Sorry. But yeah, safe to say it's stressful, but I'm pretty confident he's not going to kill me now, so that's a little bit less stressful.
We certainly didn't want that to happen. That would have been rough.
That would have been worst case scenario.
That's really the last thing we want.
Yeah.
I
I
like how Gabby never says anything, and then every time she says something, I have to edit it out.
I feel like that part can get left in, just where you're like, Gabby, we always have to cut Gabby out.
Just so the world knows
people
I
can
edited
speculate
Gabby out.
What that was.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, no wonder he's not teaching. He needs sleep because he's too busy stalking.
I cried when he said that.
I put it in the clip.
It's so good. It's so good.
Look, because just because horrible things happen doesn't mean when years pass you can't fucking see the, like, absolute ridiculous nature of all of it. Like, it's terrifying. It's really real. Don't mistake our laughter for minimizing this. But, like, also,
listen,
we're fucking
humor
people.
Is a coping mechanism.
It's like the drunk old man peeing on the door in Macbeth. Like, you need the comedic relief.
Yeah.
I don't know where in my 8th grade
I'm like,
English
girl, what
class
is this Shakespeare
reference?
Look, this is jujitsu and geniuses with the Rear Naked Chicks. Bye, guys.
Bye.